G'day legends, I hope you're all fantastic. Let's take a quick look at firmware 11 for the FM3. This is the latest and greatest official firmware release. You get the new Supro Magick amp model, you get some new overdrives. There's the updated and improved intelligent pitch shifting in the pitch block and a whole bunch of other fixes and improvements. All of these improvements have come to the FM9 as well. It's firmware 10 on the FM9 if you want to update it and play along. But let's start out with this Supro Magick amp model. This is a really simple one. You've got gain and tone on here, and I actually like doing this, cranking them all the way up as a starting point and just backing it off to where I like it. There is this factory Supremo cab, which I think sounds really good with it. And then we'll hear, as usual, my free LTTV Mix 7 cab IR on here. But let's go for the Supro amp and the Supro cab. To get started, this is my new Chillier Renegade. It's got a pair of humbuckers, but I have them split at the moment. Let's start out on the neck. Tonal range out of those two controls on there. I really like it, particularly for those 60s and 70s blues and rock inspired sounds on there. I should have mentioned in the cab block, I have the room level at around 8%, and I cranked up the room size on there, and it just kind of makes it sound a little bit more like you've mic'd up an amp in a room on there. Surprise, surprise, I had a little bit of ping pong delay on there. What I really like with this one as well is something like a Plex Verb on there for some chimey ambient tones. That's really awesome. I like that Supro Magick as an alternative to something like an AC30 or AC15 for those big chimey ambient tones on there. Definitely a cool one to have in the wheelhouse. Let's talk about the pitch block on here, because the virtual capo and the intelligent pitch shifting algorithms have been updated and improved. Basically on the virtual capo, especially with the chords mode, things are going to be a lot more stable. So I'll just turn everything off on here, except for the amp and the cab. We'll just go down one semitone, and I'll start by playing some triads on here. Then I'll play some more extended dissonant sounding chords on there. But first, let's just hear it in standard tuning or no pitch shifting. I'm on the neck humbucker at the moment. it's definitely a lot more stable than it was in previous firmwares, which is nice, whether that's something that you want to use in a live or recorded performance versus taking another guitar that's tuned down. I think you're always going to prefer another guitar, or whether you prefer using a standalone pedal. It's really going to come down to how often you need that effect. I normally use pitch either for a nice stereo detune after the amp and cab, or I like it for, say, emulating a POG or an OC2 for those funky octave style effects. But if you're just going to play big, chunky, dirty guitars and play power chords, I reckon you can leave the pitch tracking on notes. I think it tracks power chords and single notes really well, and you get a much lower latency on there. So let's have a listen to it into this FAS Stealth. My favorite use for that intelligent pitch shifting, though, is the quad chromatic mode and setting it up for a POG style effect, going 2 octaves down, a little bit of mix, 1 octave down, a lot more mix, 1 octave up, a little bit of mix, and 2 octaves up, a very small amount of mix with some detune on there. That will take your riffs and your dirty chords and turn them into these absolute filth monsters on there. That works really cool with a cleaner sound as well. Let's go back to that Plex delay in Supro Black Magick with these POG settings. I'd highly encourage you to play around with those. If you've got my blocks library, those are all included. If you want to grab my blocks library, it's linked in the video description. Let's have a listen to some of the new drives. There's this Guardian Photon Speed based on the Greer Light Speed. There's the Angry Chuck based on an Angry Charlie, so like a Marshall in a box style thing. And the Paradigm Shifter, I think this is based on a Barber gain changer. I love this with the gain all the way up and the tone down to fatten things up. The Guardian Photon Speed, though, just kind of gives you more of what you already like about your tone. Lots of fun to be had with this firmware. It's over to you now. Go and grab this and play your guitars and make some glorious guitar noises with it. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments section below. If you want to grab my blocks, my presets, or the music that I make with my band Ragdoll, they are linked in the video description. I just have to finish by saying that I've had the FM3 for over 5 years now, and I've done so many gigs with it. It has been such a joy to use, and it's been amazing to see how far it has progressed as such an amazing compact little modeler. I can just chuck this in my backpack, grab a guitar, and I'm good to go. And I'm never compromising on my sound with it. So it's awesome to see this firmware out. Hopefully they keep improving it and updating it. For now, though, I'll play you all out on my live preset. This is the FAS Stealth Blue, a bunch of reverb, detune, and stereo delay. You know what's coming next. I'll see you on the next.